Hi, and welcome to the Divorce Literacy Podcast from the Divorce Lending Association. I'm Theresa Springer, a certified divorce lending professional practicing in Washington and Oregon. And today I have a really special guest joining us, Dale Carstensen, who is a certified divorce real estate expert with years of real estate experience helping individuals going through divorce to find the right solutions for their unique real estate needs. So whether you're a divorcing spouse, attorney, or mediator, Dale's expertise will be invaluable as we explore the intricate connections between divorce and real estate. So if you're looking to gain a little divorce literacy, which is necessary to help navigate the real estate journey during this challenging time, you won't want to miss this episode. So welcome, Dale.
Hi, Theresa. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I am so excited to have you on the show today. So I'm just going to dive right in. And can you please provide us with a little background knowledge about yourself and your real estate practice?
Yeah, sure. So I have been in real estate in some form or fashion for almost 17 years. It was basically the first and only career that I've had. So I have done everything from commercial retail leases, build to suits, a little bit of industrial land work and vacant land, and transition to being full-time residential realtor about 6 years ago. And with that, I am a certified divorce real estate expert, which thank you for the introduction for that. But that just means I am uniquely and specially trained to handle all of the crossover issues in family law cases involving real estate.
Fantastic. I appreciate that information because is the certified divorce real estate expert a newer designation?
It's a newer designation. It's a burgeoning field. And I think that especially here in Oregon, it's very new. Family law cases tend to have kind of lagged behind others when it comes to having expert witnesses on the team. And especially when it comes to real estate, we're not really sure exactly why it's taken so long to have a specialty in this field because of how important it is for people's lives. But it's definitely one that this designation, the CDRE designation, is designed to be a multifaceted type of specialty. So I am here to be the best resource possible when it comes to real estate for family law attorneys. Any sorts of vesting deeds, mortgage or lien information, and any unusual or interesting information needed for that specific property or real estate, including fair market valuations. And that's all backed up with expert testimony. And I'm allowed to do that because of being trained in being a neutral. So my facts and my biases don't change regarding on which side of which spouse is hiring my services, which is very important to the process, as I'm sure we'll go into a little bit more throughout the process. But
Sure.
Yeah.
So
The next part, I just want to wrap this up because I've got two other parts here, is also to help educate the family law community on everything involving real estate and all of the unique challenges that we run into as realtors hired to sell the marital home. And that is the last piece of it, is being a neutral, an extension of the courts to help execute the sale of the marital home, whether it be through court orders, settlement agreement, or just mutual agreement by the spouses.
Oh, that's actually really good to know. Okay. So my first question for you in your area is, I know, and you know too, every divorce is totally unique and everyone goes on their own journey through the process. If you could change anything or give any heads up advice to someone just starting down this path, what would it be regarding their marital home or other real estate they may own?
I really had to think about this question. I think uh, without getting too long-winded with my answer, I just want to touch on how stressful the divorce process is. And there's the Raise Homes Stress Inventory test that you can give yourself. And it goes through on adding all of these life events up and assigning points to each one. And when you look at something as traumatic and big as a divorce, you've got the divorce itself, which is 73 points. You've got a change in financial situation, which is 60 points. You've got conflict with your spouse, and that's 35 points. And it goes on to list out all of these different ways and different things that you're going through, and moving or taking on a new mortgage is another large piece of that. So you can find yourself, when people say I'm stressed to the max, you can actually point to a number of points on how that's measurable and real. And that stress is going to cause health issues. It's going to cause you to react in ways that you normally wouldn't. You're going to be grieving through that process, especially when it comes to leaving or selling the home that you and your spouse occupied, intending to build a life together. And that piece is going to cause a lot of conflict and a lot of emotion. And of course, the motivations there can be, you can be looking at your spouses, they're only looking at your house and what it's going to happen to it is a financial decision, which has its own stress to it, and it can cause a lot of conflict. But also, your spouse may be experiencing the death of a dream, and that is captured in the marital home. So the emotions that are going to come from and the decisions around what happens to your home are going to be profound to both of you. And it's important to recognize all of those things and to lean on your friends and your family and support groups for support for that process.
So when it comes to the marital home or other real estate that folks own and they're getting divorced, you know, some people jump right in and go, oh, we need to, deed this off, do that. We need to sell. We need, they don't take always the time to reflect. And that can actually have consequences down the line. What advice do you have for folks relating to their marital home in the divorce process as a CDRE? Because you don't want them making rash decisions that later can be really difficult to undo.
Yeah. I think that people going through a divorce should really take the time to identify what their goals are around the real estate, and to allow themselves to see those change over time as the picture becomes clearer on what their life is going to look like next. And to really talk to a professional such as myself that is experienced in all of the ways that that home or asset can be held hostage during the process, and to come up with a strategy that helps avoid those types of situations. That's a big part of my job, is to make sure that the house isn't a place where the divorce can be sabotaged, or the sale can be sabotaged for any number of reasons.
Those are really good points. So I'm going to move on to a different question. I can only imagine the benefit of someone who is going through a divorce to have a strong divorce team. What do you recommend as far as what to look for when selecting a certified divorce real estate expert?
One, you're bringing a CDRE in as a part of your core team. I think that's number one. Now, we are specially trained together as a group. There's only 2 to 3 of us in the Portland, Vancouver area. And we all have different personalities. But what's important is that all of us are trained to help you the best possible way, and to be a trained neutral during this and not be affected with being conflicted with aligning with one spouse over the other and determining values of the property or the real estate assets. We recognize that each of you have an interest in this property, and that needs to be equally fought for and protected. So, and when it comes down to the real estate part and building your team, start with a CDRE, talk to one of us, 2 of us, see which one fits better. But I just would encourage you not to go with your friend or your family member that's a licensed realtor. They might be there to help represent your best interests, but that doesn't mean the court is going to accept that as the actual best interest. And vice versa, on the other side, you wouldn't want your spouse to be hiring a friend or a family member to align themselves with them during this process. You need a trained and experienced neutral to handle these transactions. So I am very experienced. I have a lot of experience in real estate and complicated, complex transactions, but it's just important to have a CDRE on your case.
You know, that actually leads me into my next question, because you brought up having, your friend or your brother be your realtor. What is the most memorable case that you've worked on so far? And as a second part, what cases or what transactions have impacted you, whether they're yours or others, where a CDRE would have been a better person to work with than a realtor?
I hear a lot of stories from the people at my brokerage, the other realtors at my brokerage that don't have this training. And I think a lot of my own personal lessons generally arrive. I find them out from hearing other experiences. And I can think of several off the top of my head from my own experience, but a broker in my office who's very experienced was helping sell his brother's house, and his brother and sister-in-law in a divorce. And the sister-in-law identified the brothers as one package, and she never trusted him to sell the home in a way that had her best interests in mind too. So she did all sorts of things to sabotage the sale, from withholding signatures on documents until extra money was paid. we're all dealing with really quick and short timelines, and she knew that and was able to leverage that relationship against her spouse in the process. So that's a huge one, and I hear those types of stories constantly. People tend to get in over their heads without realizing they already are there.
And that goes back to the neutrality piece that you brought up also, because if you're just a friend or family member, you're not going to be neutral.
Yeah, it's hard to recognize that we're all human and we all have our biases. And it takes a lot of training to really be able to check those biases at the door and recognize when they're happening. And it affects all of us. And having that perception, it can even stem from conversations that you heard happened. And it doesn't even have to be a real tangible effect on the value or the determinations that we as professionals have found. Just hearing that there was an inappropriate conversation that happened between your ex-spouse and that professional can skew your perception of the situation in a way that you don't trust or believe any of the information that that professional is giving, whether it's true or perceived. So that's definitely where we have to be able to recognize when a client is pushing boundaries to try to manipulate our perception, talk about things that are inappropriate. They bring up any number of reasons to try to assign fault for the situation they're in to their spouse and try to get us on their side. And that's a deeply human response to these situations. Having people, when you're going through something as difficult emotionally as a divorce, you want the people around you to be on your side. That's totally fair. And it's up to the professionals that are in this group in family law situations to be able to shut those down and have tricks and tips of our own to limit those sorts of interactions and conversations.
Okay, that's really good information. So I'm going to ask just a couple closing questions. And I do really appreciate you sharing your valuable time with me today. And as I really do respect you as an outstanding family law professional in the Portland, Vancouver market. I know you are very experienced and have worked on numerous cases throughout our area. Where can someone who might benefit from your expertise go to learn more about you?
Well, I have a website. It's Dale WC. That's my initials. William Carstensen is my full name. So dalewc.com. I've got some more information on my credentials, who I am, and all of that stuff. I've got a blog up as well. You can find me on social media by doing a quick Google search. But I would highly encourage you to reach out just to schedule a one-on-one consultation. I think that whether you're a person going through a divorce or a family law attorney looking to bring on a CDRE as a part of your group, I highly encourage having a consultation to talk a little bit more about how we can help progress cases and achieve the outcomes that the clients have established as their goals.
Fantastic. And then do you have one final thought that you would like to leave us with today?
One final thought. I have to narrow it down to one. Well, can I give you two thoughts? Is that okay?
We'll allow it today.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge that divorce happens, and I had an interaction with a couple where they were in a collaborative case together, and we were able to have the attorneys, the financial planner, myself as a CDRE for the real estate, and the couple that are divorcing together in a consultation where we were really getting the details hammered out. And the two of them had such a profound connection, relationship, respect for each other, that it was hard to not get emotional by being in that room and experiencing it, and knowing that divorce affects everyone. And this just happened to be a couple that determined that this was the way that they were going to keep their family together. They couldn't be together themselves. And love sometimes just isn't enough as much as we want it to be. And they did what they had to and made really difficult decisions to be true to themselves and their future.
Mhm.
And it's hard to accept a little bit, but my closing thoughts tie into that, in that they built their team. They built the two attorneys, the mediator, the financial planner, and myself. And they brought us all together to help with this piece. And no two divorces look the same. And it's really important to identify how you want your next chapter to look before you start picking up the phone and calling those professionals. If you call a family law attorney that is experienced in high conflict cases, but you still really care for your spouse, you're going to be directed towards litigation and the court system as a form of resolution, when it's probably better to have a collaborative team together to help you. So it's really important to identify what you want to see next, and be intentional with the resources that are available to you in selecting and building your team.
That is really good information. So thank you for those two thoughts. I do appreciate you being here with us today, Dale. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, always a pleasure, Theresa. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Okay, so now I'm going to end the recording. Recording stop.